Everybody. Tonight I want to talk about, we have this power, we have this presence within us. And we want to look at what are the things that might be stopping it from expressing itself. Maybe if you have what we'll call blocks or barriers that might prevent us from generating newer, innovative, or creative outputs. And I want to welcome any of you who are new to our programming, new to our broadcast. You might be here for the first time. We have classes on Wednesday. This is the Creative Living series. Then we have our Louise class on Thursday, and Sunday we have our broadcast. This is a class that I wanted to start for some time. I've seen it done before in other places, and we work with different facilitators, and it's a series of ideas throughout the year to improve our creative living. So I've got a lot of different little things for you to consider for this evening. Each of us are creative beings, and in our own right, there is a power within you that is creativity itself. So we want to look at the ways, what we can do to release it. We want to see if there's anything that might be within us that's blocking us. Maybe you have a difficult time starting something, or you feel stuck. You feel unproductive in some kind of way, or you might, don't feel motivated enough or inspired enough. A lot of times self-doubt gets in our way. Thursday night we talk a lot about this inner critic and Louise with her work on self-esteem. So if you've got a lot of critical thinking going on, fear, failure, that type of thing, you might be feeling overwhelmed in some area of your life. Any and all of these things can block your success, your creativity, and it can affect any of us, regardless of where we are in our life or experience in any kind of particular field. So we've got some strategies, many strategies and techniques that I've been reading about the past few days, in addition to what I already know, that individuals use or can use to overcome these blocks, so we can unlock this potential that's in us. The thing, before I get into any of the actual class material, is, once again, when you come in this teaching, we teach you that there is one power and one creative intelligence. And you might have called it God when you were a child, but the thing we learn here is this power, this presence is in you, it's operating through you. You're one with it. The only thing is most people are not aware that they have it. So you have this power, you're one with this power. So I'm wondering if people really are in touch with, the power that they have. It's been called the best kept secret of the age. And so I'm here to tell you that you exist as power, you have this power. The word enthusiasm, comes from that. Are you filled with spirit? Do you sense it? Do you feel it? Do you have that motivation? So here's another question for you to self-assess. Can you think of something that you've been meaning to do but you haven't gotten around to? Are you putting something off? Is there anything that you used to love doing but you haven't done for quite a while? Is there anything you feel like you're missing in your life right now? Please make note of them. What are some of your biggest challenges that you might be experiencing right now? Is there something you wish you could change about your life? What do you think, if anything, is holding you back? Is there something you've been curious about but haven't pursued yet? What's something you've been putting off because you might be afraid of failing, or maybe other people would judge you because it might be something really different. You might be stepping outside of your comfort zone. Is there anything like that? What's something that you're proud of accomplishing in the past? So I go back, I did some things when I was younger that I was really proud of. Let yourself go back to think of some of those things. Would you like to revisit whatever it was that made you feel so good? Is there something you'd like to accomplish, like in the coming year? As you ask yourself these questions and you consider the answers, it'll help you reflect in the different areas of your life. There's lots of places in our life that we've kind of shut down over time. So what I'm asking you to do now is to explore some of these different things, which might be your excuses, might be things you tell yourself. Every Thursday night I talk a lot about the importance of the inner conversation that you have with yourself. I describe it as the most important conversation you're ever going to have, because that inner dialogue that you have, when you're by yourself and you're in your living room, your bedroom, and you're with your own thoughts, those thoughts, that you habitually think are creating your life. So we want to get a handle on the places where we make excuses, because you have this unleashed, untapped potential in you that really is, it's longing to express. You came into this world to express yourself, whether you know it or not. It was told to me many years ago, I think borrowing from Ralph Waldo Emerson, that we're here to express. And, we've somewhat, not to say we've dumbed it down, but, we've gotten routines and things, and many of us have gotten out of touch with what brings us joy and happiness and our inner creativity. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder who wrote the textbook that we use, said that the creative power of the universe is always available to us. But sometimes we can get in our own way, and we can block the flow of inspiration. So you exist as creativity. So what is he saying? We get in our own ways. Ralph Waldo Emerson, you've heard me recently say in another talk, he suggested we get ourselves out, he said, get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuits. Now you might think that was kind of a harsh thing to say. It's really what he's saying is, you've got all this divine capacity, this circuitry. You are one with creativity itself, you are one with intelligence. And he said, let's get all our attachments and our bloated stuff out of the way, so this divinity that's in us can come forward. If you're finding yourself feeling stuck, which I do from time to time, and I'm sure some of you do, or uninspired, or you're in a funk of any kind, first of all, you're not alone. It'd be good to start talking a little bit about your challenges. And I don't mean talking about my challenges or your challenges with people that are, going to say, you need to be talking to people basically who are going to lift you up. The fact is that we are not alone. None of us are alone. And all of us have challenges. And it's important to remember, first of all, to share it if you can. There's an old 12-step program, a problem shared is a problem cut in half. And there's truth to that. But the only thing I append the message is by saying, if you're going to call people and talk about what's going on with you, call people who really know how to lift you and support you and tell you you can do it, because that's the kind of message you need to be giving yourself, the message you can do it. The thing we understand here about spirituality and energy is whatever power we have is the power that is flowing throughout the universe. It's in everybody equally and all the time. It's not about what religion a person is. The same power that's in me is in the people, flowing through people in any and every part of the world. The same God, the same energy that's available to me is available to everyone, everywhere, and all the time. So as we wake up to the fact that we're powerful and we're creative beings, and we start to align our thoughts and beliefs with some aspects of this power, we can then start to overcome, transcend our blocks and tap into our full creativity. When we think of this power as being intelligence, I like to go back to what we were taught in science, the attributes of this higher power. They will say it's peaceful, powerful. It's peace, power, love, joy, beauty, and wisdom. When we connect with these ideas and think that I am peaceful, powerful, intelligent, creative, beautiful, when we open ourselves up to that type of thinking, that inflow of energy, that creativity, and really start to realize it's operating through us, when you really start to claim it as your own, and you tell yourself that you're open and receptive to it, then you'll be amazed to start to see how you're getting information that supports that. We want to learn to tune into it, and we also want to, stop the negative chatter. People get separated and cut off from power. They don't in their thinking. I want to try to preface it with this. You can never be separate from good. You can never be separate from spirit, because we're all interconnected. But you'll have the perception that you're cut off. That won't be true. That won't be an idea of truth, but you've lost the awareness of your connection. On any given Sunday, I might say you've got to plug in. You've got to reconnect. It's like the story of the prodigal child. You're out wandering around, you think you're alone, and everything's going poorly. But this presence, this intelligence is all around you. And it's, as Emerson would have said, it's wooing you. It's always attempting to get your attention. When we're cut off, or we perceive rather that we're cut off when we're separated, this is again not something that's actually true, but our awareness of this connection is gone. So that'll signal that the individual is out of alignment with their inner truth, their inner wisdom, the inner creativity of the universe. And all we need to do is take the time, take the pause to reconnect and realign, to realize who we are. So we remember who we are, and then we forget. That was a lyric from Louise Hay's, one of her CDs, Remembering and Forgetting. It's what we do. If you're in this teaching for any length of time, you're gonna practice remembering. You stay tuned in as often as you can, so you can keep remembering that you're connected. So tonight we're talking about the creative process, and the suggestion that we came up with in a past lesson was learning to take a pause and reflect on some of your ideas, your desires, and find new ways to connect with this inner wisdom, this Muse, this inner source, which allows you to utilize your creativity. Last year I started talking about the phrase, the pause that refreshes, and I found out it was a slogan from Coca-Cola from 1929. It's a great slogan for us in the 2020s because it's pertinent to our discussion today of bringing forth more of that creativity, allowing that creativity into our lives because it's in you. Please never say you don't know and you don't have, because there is that which is within you that knows and has everything. And furthermore, it's at your disposal. Taking a pause that reconnects us, reminds us, re-energizes us, and causes us to reawaken that, my God, I have it within me, will help us get on track and in sync with who we are and who we have come here to be. And it'll help put us back on track, and might help some of you discover what your purpose is. There's many of you who do know. You've done work on yourself. You know who you have come here to be. You know what you've come here to express. And there's many on the call that are just learning about these ideas. So wherever you are, you're in the right place. We welcome you. We're glad you're here. So we want to learn to take the pause and reflect. And understand that you're going to be guided. You have within you an internal guidance system. That's spirit within. It will speak to you. It will guide you if you allow it to. We remember that we are cause to our own experience here. We are co-creators with the universe. So your thoughts are things, the universe responds to you. Every thought you think, it responds to. So this is a really special kind of relationship you have with the universe. It's much different than the religions you had of youth, most of us had of youth, where you would be praying to a higher power elsewhere above and all the rest, and a higher power that you would petition to for all kinds of things. This is a different idea. This idea would suggest that the universe responds to your every single thought. It doesn't miss a one. So knowing you have this power, and some of you might think this is outrageous because you've never heard it before if you're very new, you have awesome power. So that means that, and you know it responds to you, so that means you can create, if you want to, a very, very big vision, a vision that's fantastic. And why not let it be great, since if you're coming and learning that you have this power, then you want to learn to approach the ocean of life with huge buckets. You want to approach the ocean of life with great expectations, because life will respond to what you believe. Oftentimes we'll say, the universe cannot do for you what it cannot do through you. So there's a lesson within that statement, which means we have to expand our capacity, our vision, and as we expand it, and then we know that we deserve it, and we get passionate about it, you'll start to see things happen, And in the process, you'll be letting go of things you'll be trading in the lesser ideas for the great. So we studied a book at this center a few years ago, which was entitled Good to Great. And the author suggests that we have what was called a BHAG, which BHAG stood for to develop a big, hairy, audacious goal. So that's part of the visioning process also in journaling idea. Create an idea for your life that's amazing. Let yourself go big. Because why would you go small if you have a power that's there that responds and it doesn't know the difference between big or small? When you're doing this visioning, feel it. Feel it, own it, know it. Embrace it with passion. Some of you, in your affirmative prayer process, have a habit of outlining how everything needs to be, or how everything has to be or should be. And this will not work well if you do it that way. And if you're talking about blocks and not wanting to block yourself, you want to pay attention to this. Because if you're trying to control everything, that can block what needs to happen and come to you. So it's okay to have this big vision in our minds and consciousness, but I want to say, watch out for your attachments. Watch out for thinking it has to manifest in a certain way. So here's a suggestion for today's creative living class. Let go of your attachments for specific outcomes and trust in the process of life. Trust in the creative process, and trust it will unfold in its own time and perfect way. We learn each time here about learning to release and let go of any and all attachments that limit our higher and ultimate good. There's an old saying that I had to look up again so I didn't get it backwards, which is, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. What that means is sometimes striving for perfection, you could be a little bit of a control freak. Sometimes when we're doing that, we're striving for perfection. It can block us from achieving and realizing we have something very, very good right here in front of us. If we constantly pursue perfection, or we're somewhat obsessed with something or someone needing to be a certain way, that's going to drive us crazy, and it may end up causing us not to finish a project and or enjoying our company and the people around us. It can cause us to be stuck to a place where things don't happen, where you can't make a decision, or you don't make one because you're overly focused on the outcomes and the details. And if you're doing that with people, it has a tendency to push us away from one another as well. So in terms of vision, in terms of going forward, in terms of creativity, like Emerson suggested and many others, we want to aim high, we want to dream big, and we want to take a risk. We want to take some intelligent action toward the goal that we have in mind, and not allow ourselves to get bogged down in the details. So we want to be more flexible, and then we want to start taking some action. There's a warning here in terms of this awakening, this creativity is don't analyze everything too much. Don't get caught up in what's called analysis paralysis. This could have served you at different points in your life in the past, but we're dealing with our inner power now, and we want to loosen the need to control anything or anyone. And we'll go back to Louise Hay's statement that we often quote, I trust the process of life. And you might say that to yourself. I completely trust the process of life. Micromanaging and control will get in the way of your bigger goals. You can't do it alone either with any of these big projects. So, we want to have the big vision. We want to hold the vision in our minds, and we want to, you get to a point where we really want to let go and let God, and we release all that stuff, the desire to control the outcomes, and know that whatever you're looking for is going to demonstrate or something much, much better. I remember many years ago when I was given some instruction on how to release the need for control. If I were doing an affirmative prayer, for example, I would say something like this. I recognize and I know Spirit is within me. It is the source. I affirm that I am one with the source. I'm abundantly supplied. I know I have success in all areas of my life now, in my business. And I release the need to worry. I release the need to control. And then I would add, I trust and I give thanks that my highest good is in operation now. I am open to receiving my desired outcome or something better. And so it is. So here's the thing to remember. The creative process is a process of surrender, not control. So you're going to think the big thought, you're going to realize you're one with this power, and then it's a process of surrender and allowing it to happen. It's not about controlling. If you try to control it, it's like doing an affirmative mind treatment. It's like putting seeds into soil, and you're not letting the plant grow. You're just going to pull it up to see if it's growing. So the creative process is not a process of surrender. It is a process of surrender, and it's not one of control. When you're having a time where where creativity seems to be blocked, it's actually a good thing, because it's a call for you to pay attention, to take a pause, a time for you to challenge yourself to step out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself to try something different. So don't beat yourself up if you've reached a point where you seem to be stuck or things don't seem to be working, but it is definitely a time for you to start paying attention. You might take a break. If it's a momentary thing, you might take a walk, do something different for a few hours or a day. And so you can open yourself up to new things. It's a bit like changing the channel on, you're watching something, you're programmed, and you need to have a different perspective. So we want to learn to take those pauses, take those breaks, and then realize and know that the ideas will come, because you yourself are an inlet and outlet of creativity itself. I remember journaling to be such a wonderful tool for me to unleash creativity. And I can recommend that as something that would be wonderful for anyone. There was a book I was familiar with many years ago. It was called The Artist's Way. And I remember techniques, one of which would be a clustering technique where you'd have an idea that you'd put on a piece of paper. Then the first idea that come to you, you'd write down on another and another and another. And then you go back to the central idea again, and then freely allow your mind to associate, just let it go. So it'd be like, you'd look like a spider's web. You have the central idea that you keep coming back to. And then you would start writing, and you start journaling. And you'd swear you become the next great American author, because you've tapped into your subconscious and your right brain, and you'll unleash so much creativity. There's a lot of ways you can tap into your creativity. The book The Artist's Way would be helpful, and similar books, there's several, can help you tap into your subconscious mind. When you write in a journal without thinking too much about what you're putting onto the paper, you're allowing your subconscious to take over, and you'll be amazed. This will lead to unexpected insights and ideas and connections that you might not have come down with if you're just trying to write like on a pad, and where you would be more analytical and logical. If you're feeling blocked or stuck with creativity, it's oftentimes because we're holding on to some idea. We want things to be a certain way. And again, that ties back into the idea of attachments. We want to have the willingness to let go of these attachments. This stuff is not good for you in any area of your life, not with people, places, or things. Overall, journaling from what people call the right side of the brain can help you access and enhance your creativity, and it even can help you process your emotions and express yourself more fully. Louise Hay often said, trust the process of life to be there for you. It always is. I used to remember in terms of, making decisions and tapping into that creativity. I watched my parents when they weren't in agreement with something and it was a big decision, they would say something like, we're going to sleep on it. Knowing that they would be in a different mindset and they'd have a different perspective with a little bit of time. They knew that the answers will always be there, the same way we do. We know that there's a power within that we commune with, and the answers are always there. You don't necessarily need to rush it, rush creativity. I have another friend who I've known in business who has said to me on different occasions, I've decided not to decide today. Because his way of thinking is he knows that he's got this power within, and the answer he needs will come to him. I say to Jimmy at the church all the time, I don't want to be jammed up because sometimes, too many things are coming all at once. And I just need to have that pause, and then I'll have the information that I need. So the people I'm thinking about, and I'm thinking of tonight, were all action people, as I remember them. Each one in their own way, would take a pause, and they would know that they would have the answers. They knew the answers would be there. I, for example, usually have 3-4 lessons in development, sometimes even 5, and I'll reach a brick wall, and I will need more research. I'll get stuck. And I'll reach out for help, or I might take a walk or do something different, and then out of the blue, the information I'm looking for somehow, some way seems to come together. Something I wasn't able to access before. Now, in this teaching, I've been teaching people for over 20 years that each of us are inlets and outlets of this consciousness, this creativity, this knowledge, this wisdom. And I know it always delivers. If it can deliver for me week after week, I know it can deliver for you. I have been in tough situations in my life, and the information is always there at the right time. That is, if we get ourselves out of the way a little bit. So, in terms of unleashing this creativity, taking the pause and giving yourself a little bit of a break will allow the answer to come to you. The universe, I've been taught and I believe, is constantly wooing us and trying to catch our attention. And it will do so in so many ways. People sometimes get caught up in their lives, they're extremely busy, and sometimes people are in tough situations and they're experiencing really, medical challenges, other challenges, business challenges, and you can be in very tough spots. And then sometimes there's human loss and pain, unspeakable pain. And I listen to people through the years, and sometimes they go to start blaming God and ask, why could God do this and God do that? And they kind of like go down into this type of thinking. And that's really sad when that happens, because, we're digging ourselves into a hole when we start doing that. When unpleasant things happen in life, it's important to realize that there's no force working against us ever, okay? I think the way it was explained to me years ago, I think it was in a book called Life 101. We're like in a schoolhouse, all of us together. We're here evolving together. Personally, I'm evolving, you're evolving, and collectively everybody's evolving. So there's always opportunities for growth and expansion, and there will be obstacles and lessons. As we surrender more to what is happening in life, it will be easier for us. As we align ourselves with what the attributes of what we think God are, again, peace, power, love, joy, beauty, and wisdom. As we commune with those ideas, as we learn to live the affirmative life, you're going to come to realize that you have so much power and you have what it takes to deal with whatever is happening in your life. Each of us come to life fully equipped to deal with whatever comes up. I keep remembering the basics, which I give you again tonight. I tell myself, and I would suggest as an affirmation, to remind yourself, I am one with the one. I'm one with the one intelligence, the one love, the one energy. I am supplied and supported. And I used to tell myself all the time when I was in sticky situations, I would say, there is God in this. This is God in my life. It would cause me to smile and sometimes laugh, and it would cause me to realize, in fact, I am supplied and supported. The worst enemy to blocking your creativity is to fill yourself with doubts. Deepak Chopra, who I'm sure many of you know, said that self-doubt is the enemy of creativity. When we doubt our own abilities and question our ideas, we limit our creative potential. When we begin to love ourselves, that would be Louise Hay, and trust ourselves, as Chopra is talking about, and trust and appreciate our own unique gifts, we are opening ourselves up to a world of possibilities. There was a Mr. Adler who said, self-doubt is the anchor that keeps our ship from sailing. So we want to learn to love ourselves, appreciate ourselves, encourage ourselves, and we really want to say good job. We do mirror work, to really start self-love and self-appreciation, because it's really tough to extend that to other people unless you have that for yourself. Christian Larson said, believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there's something inside you that is greater than any obstacle that you could ever face. I've got a list of things that block people in terms of fears. Thing about fear you've heard said in just about everywhere. Fear, they say, stands for false evidence appearing real. Well, if you embrace fears, you're just blocking yourself from experiencing good. So here's a little list you can self-assess. And, you just say yes or no. If you find that you're fearful of some area, then that's an area that you think, okay, I'm going to do some work on this. So here's a little list. Do you fear being rejected by family or friends or loved ones? Do you fear public speaking? That's something apparently just about everybody's afraid of. Do you fear heights? Do you fear death or dying? Do you fear intimacy? Do you fear change? Do you have a fear of being alone? Or are you fearful of your own power and your own success? Do you fear being judged? Do you have a fear of the future? Do you have a fear of the unknown? Or are you a very controlling person? You have a fear of losing control. So these questions you can answer for yourself. I only ask them to to get you to think a little bit. So we know fear can get in the way of us having the creativity and the demonstrations we want. So We want to work on these different things. You know, and if you have something that you're fearful with, then work with it. If something comes up in an affirmative prayer, I'm going to go in there really very quickly, and I'm going to learn what I need to learn from whatever the negative is, and I'm going to find a way to neutralize it, and I'm going to replace it with something positive, just usually the opposite of what I'm afraid of. In the affirmative prayer process, I say you're striking gold when you hit a place where there's an unbelief. When you're stating that I'm one with the one, and there is only one power, that power is in me, and I declare that I'm successful and I'm wonderful. If something comes up within you that thinks, oh no, I'm not successful, I'm this and that, well, that just shows you where you want to do your spiritual work. And you can release the need for the negative, you can replace it, and so whatever comes up for you is not coming up to hurt you, it's always coming up for you to gain greater awareness. I've already spoke of the next thing that causes people to be blocked. I see it again in my notes. If you've got this whole thing about perfect going on, release the need for that. When you feel that everything you do must be flawless, that can lead to a lot of problems. And don't let that get in the way of experiencing the good and the wonderful things that are going on. We move next to, if you're just feeling lack of inspiration, you're just listless and all that, when you feel uninspired or stuck in a rut, I've already said, take a walk, try something different. Same thing if you're feeling burned out. Find a way to, do something different. Take a day off. Do something else, because you have within you what you need. You will turn it around. Let me see what else is here. There is an example I found. You all know who J.K. Rowling is, I'm sure. She's the author of the Harry Potter books. She was the best example I could find. She had experienced 4 international bestsellers, and then she was working on her 5th book, and she was paralyzed. She felt huge pressure and overwhelmed to deliver another book. And no matter what she tried, it wasn't working. So she had to really take a step back and take a pause, and she gave herself permission to take a break. As I remember the story, she took a short vacation. She went someplace with her family on a brief trip. She did some charitable work. She did a lot of inner work on releasing her fears and releasing her doubts, surrendering and working to trust the process. And she had to do that inner work to tap into the creativity and get back on track. And as it worked out, her 5th book turned out to be one of her greatest successes. It was called Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. And it was critically acclaimed to boot. So she's gone on to write many other books, but that was a place where, as popular and successful as she was, she got to the point she didn't think she could write another word. So this highlights the importance of trusting in your own creative process and learning to give yourself breaks or permission to experiment and make mistakes. I've got a little bit more here. I don't think it's in very small print, but maybe I want to talk a moment about brainstorming, mind mapping, and visioning. Creating a vision board, which we've been talking about lately, and mind mapping are techniques that usually involve organizing ideas and thoughts in a creative and intuitive way. Mind mapping usually involves starting with a central idea and branching out to related topics, like clustering when you're journaling. If you're using a vision board, that typically involves collecting images and words and other visual representations that represent your goals and aspirations. Both of these techniques, developing big vision or mind mapping, encourage brainstorming and exploring ideas in a non-linear way, a free-flowing manner, which will open creativity and allow for connections and insights to emerge that may not have been immediately obvious to you through more traditional methods or planning. So each of these can open up this creativity, stimulate the muse within you. I used to journal. It was the best thing in the world. And the same thing if you're doing like a vision board. You engage, you ask yourself questions, keep a notebook and write down all your ideas, no matter how far out they may seem to you. It's good to collaborate with others sometimes, working with others, as long as you're working, again, with people that are really, truly your cheerleaders and cheering you on, because it's good to get different perspectives. So reaching out to other creatives or professionals or in whatever field can be a good thing. So other than that, the suggestion is just start practicing mindfulness. First step of our affirmative prayer is to recognize and know that there is spirit and that spirit's in me, and sit with that. Practicing mindfulness can reduce your stress, anxiety. Practicing mindfulness can help reduce all the things that bother you and will block your creativity. Learning to calm the mind can free up mental space and energy to focus on your creative endeavors. Can help you become more self-aware. Mindfulness can help us, if you're becoming mindful, you also know when you're being negative and when you're emotionally off. Being mindful can help us identify and overcome the creative blocks and also our limiting beliefs. It can help us cultivate an open mind and can help us become and remain curious and receptive. So these are ideas that all of them can help you connect with intuition. Mindfulness and meditation can help us, again, access that inner voice. And so these are some of the tools. Sometimes, if you're incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine, it can help boost your creativity in every area of your life. So if you're overwhelmed, slow down. Have you heard the expression, slow down, you're moving too fast, Again, the thing is, we live in a world where everybody's focusing on the outer, what's going on in the news and what's going on politically and what's going on with different countries, and we seem to be going through a time of strife and inflation, and we're going, you only have to tune into any of the stations right now. And what I'm suggesting that you do is just about the opposite. It's just, instead of tuning into all that stuff, I'm asking for you to tune into the inner, become mindful and tune into the inner power that you have, and ask questions, and you'll get the answers you're looking for. If you're stuck in your room, you're stuck in doing something, change your environment even briefly. A change of scenery can help you stimulate your creativity. Experiment. Don't be afraid to try new things. Lately, I've been telling people to take a different route to work. Just whatever the routine is. If you're doing something routine, you're not engaging your mind. So, try some things new, and do everything you can to stimulate your creativity. Create some real big visions for yourself, and know, like Louise Hay always said, I can do it. And keep telling yourself, I can do it. And I am supplied and supported.